Welcome back to Overhead Athletics. I'm Max Wardell, and today we're going to be looking at Jacob deGrom and doing a mechanical analysis on him. So he's an athlete with a little bit of an injury history, but he moves pretty efficiently down the mound, and he's got some things that you could take into your mechanical analysis of your own throwing mechanics that then you could potentially implement. So one of the things that we notice here as he moves forward is he holds rotation into that back hip as he moves down the mound. Now, as somebody who doesn't get, a ton of load away from the target, you can still see that as he moves forward, he stays relatively closed until the last possible second. And it's important to note that while he has had some arm troubles in the past, his first Tommy John surgery was in 2010 before his professional career started. The mechanics that he displays, or the mechanical efficiency he displays, has allowed him to be so successful after that. We know the shelf life of a Tommy John surgery is about 1.5 to 2 years at your previous level of play on average. And he's been able to do this, pitching at a really high level with no injuries from 2010, no significant elbow injuries from 2010, 2011 time period, all the way through 2023. So he's made that UCL graft last, which is a real testament to things that he's doing. Now, you can see he's a very thin individual. He's a very thin build, and he doesn't have a ton of muscle mass, and he throws, upper 90s up to, 100 in the 100-mile-an-hour range. And I think that's largely because of how he sequences his body. So not only does he stay close, but he keeps the ball close to his center of rotation, and the elbow is approximately shoulder height as he comes through. So when he actually comes through his throw, he's on plane with his elbow, which allows for the most amount of external rotation, but also deflects load from the elbow, because the shoulder is like the shock absorber for the elbow. And if you don't have full layback or external rotation, as you can see here, where the arm actually lays back, you're going to end up putting more load on the elbow, just like riding a bike without shocks. You hit a pothole, it gives you a big impulse jarring effect. When you have good rotation backwards this way into external rotation and layback, that absorbs some of that load, and he has good external rotation largely because his elbow is at that shoulder plane as he comes to the throw. The other thing we're going to notice is that his elbow is flexed inside of 90 degrees. So, this isn't an exact measurement, but he gets his elbow pretty well flexed as he throws, bringing the ball in close to his center of rotation. And because he does that and keeps the ball out in front of his body as he lifts, he ends up with a really stable position of the elbow as he comes through. Now, we've had, different people debating online how much pronation, how much supination is he in neutral. I'm going to tell you that he is in pronation at this point in time. Yes, he's in scapular retraction, but if he was in neutral, you take your arm in neutral down by your side, you take it up here, looks like, okay, the ball's facing the ground. Whether I take the ball or take my elbow into more retraction or not won't change that orientation. But if I pronate, the ball starts to face away from me, just like it does in this case here. And what you see as he comes through is that his fingers are actually twisting to get underneath the baseball. So what we do when we look at pronation and supination is we have the elbow up, we put the arm close to the position that you're in, and then you say, okay, from that orientation, can I pronate further or can I supinate further? And if I have more supination or supinatory range of motion, that means I'm in a relatively pronated position, because we should have equal in both directions. So, he is in a bit of pronation here. He is in a lot of scapular retraction, but he's not in terminal end range either direction. He's not at the maximum amount of elbow flexion. He's not at the maximum amount of shoulder horizontal abduction or pronation. He's got a little bit of play there. The big key things here for him is that he stays closed from the target with his chest, as you can barely read the Mets sign. The ball gets in close to his center of rotation. Look how far it is away from his head here. His elbow is flexed inside 90 degrees, which stabilizes the elbow and protects the ulnar collateral ligament. His elbow is shoulder height approximately, and then he gets his chest way out towards a target, which is a ton of hamstring flexibility or extensibility here, more than what we see in most of the athletes that actually are coming in injured. Nobody's going to move exactly like Jacob deGrom. Nobody's going to move exactly like Nolan Ryan. But if you look at the similarities among Roger Clemens, the Nolan Ryans, the Aroldis Chapmans of the world, what you find is they bring the ball in close to their center of rotation. They get their elbow to the approximately to the right height on a consistent basis, regardless of the speed they're throwing and the pitch they're throwing. They get in similar positions that then they can actually produce muscular power over to throw the ball faster. So, you know, some of the key takeaways here in his throw, he keeps that ball out in front of his body, so he doesn't pull the ball too far behind him this way as he actually goes into the throw. He gets good counter rotation away from the target. Ball comes up and in towards the head with a slight amount of pronation. Elbow is at that shoulder plane level, and then, you know, as he comes through, he keeps the ball in close all the way until his chest faces forward, and then he gets that chest forward, you know, way out in front, releasing out in front of his front foot. Good follow through with the front leg extension. So some things to consider when you're looking at your throwing mechanics, but I think this is what's allowed deGrom to stay healthy for so long after a Tommy John surgery. And, you know, looking at his mechanics prior to that, that would be something, you know, that would be interesting to do. If anybody's got some good videotape on how he threw prior to his original injury, I'd be happy to take a look at that and analyze that on the channel as well. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys in the next video.